So in this video, I want to talk about why I love choosing being in the submissive role in my relationship with a dominant partner as a type A, high achieving woman who has a lot of dominant energy herself, who also has a lot of more traditionally or conventionally masculine energy. We are going to dive into this today. It's so juicy. And I'll start by saying that for the first few years of the now 5-year relationship that I've been in with a very dominant masculine man, I fought him tooth and nail because I was all wrapped up in these ideas that being submissive or choosing a submissive role, surrendering, being more in my feminine energy meant that I was giving up power, that I was weak, that I was setting women back decades, that I was a bad feminist, so many other things. This also really challenged the identity that I held for myself as an independent woman, a boss babe, a get shit done babe, former New York City woman. And this might challenge you as well. But I want to talk about why this has been so empowering for me. And if you don't already know me, my name's Lee. I am an intimacy coach and a psychedelic therapist for self-aware women who want to revolutionize their relationship with themselves and create sexy, secure love. So I am thinking about, dreaming about intimacy, relationships, dating, relationship dynamics all the time. And as a woman, this one at first really, really challenged me. So instead of diving right into the content today, which I will, and I will be sure to leave you with the 3 tips and what you can do next if anything I share in this video resonates with you. But I want to start by giving you an experience first. And this is an existential erotica story that I wrote that really captures the essence of what a dominant submissive dynamic can look like when it's done really well. Now, bear in mind that this is not the only way this dynamic can look. And I'm also not just talking about the sexual dynamic, I'm talking about the relationship dynamic outside of the bedroom as well. In this piece that I'm about to read you, this does involve a sexual scene, and I really participate in a dominant submissive dynamic in my relationship most of the time, even when we're grocery shopping, when we're cooking, when we're planning our week. So I want to get into that and why it's been so liberating for me as a type A overachiever, like high achieving woman, and how you can explore whether or not this is a good choice for you as you're dating and as you relate to the men in your life. Now, you may be single and you may want to call in a man that you perceive to be masculine, or you may want to call forth some of these qualities in the man that you're already in relationship with. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is find yourself a comfy seat. If you're driving, keep your eyes on the road. If you're walking, keep your eyes on the road. And if you're not, then relax. You may even close your eyes if you're not operating machinery. Take a nice deep breath in. Come home directly, shower, put on lingerie, wait for me on your knees. I read his text excitedly, just as I was leaving the gym. I got the assignment. It was very clear. He told me exactly what to do, where to be, how to be, and when. His direction sent chills up my spine. I relaxed into my body and prepared to surrender to what was next. I showered, put on lingerie, and waited for him on my knees. He came out silently, asked me to set an intention, then blindfolded me. Nervous anticipation immediately set in. What was going to happen? Where would he touch me? How would he touch me? Would it be gentle? He could sense my mind was racing as my body tensed up. He cued me. Take a deep breath. Surrender into yourself. Make it safe to be in your body. Create so much safety that you find pleasure in the unknown. His words alone brought tears to my eyes. I could feel how much he cared and how deeply attuned to me he was. Masterful is how I describe him. He touched me gently, first with his hands, placing an open palm on my chest and upper back, grounding me energetically and letting me know I was safe. Then he kissed and caressed different parts of my body, allowing me to become receptive and open at my own pace. When he sensed I was ready, he graduated to the flogger, alternating between gently dragging and draping it over my skin and striking with the exact intensity I crave. The kind of intensity that shakes me out of the slumber, out of the numbness and disconnection I sometimes find myself in. He cued me again. Breathe. Create safety inside of yourself. Can you find pleasure in the unknown? In not knowing what would come next, I burst into tears. I felt so exposed, so vulnerable, so naked in every way. With him, there's no hiding. He sees and penetrates every part of me. It's what I've always longed for. His presence fills an existential void I thought could never be satisfied, a hunger I thought could never be satiated. I yearn for this kind of penetration, and yet it's the scariest thing I've ever felt. To be so fully seen and known, unable to hide, but rather to have company in the cavernous depths where all of my emotions dwell. He sits there with me, holds me, and invites me to my edges. It's the most exquisite, sensational, terrifying experience of life, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm so grateful for how he holds me. Through him, I get to know myself. Ah, take another slow, deep breath in. So just notice whatever this piece may have brought up in you, if you felt anything, a longing, a craving, a fear, emotions, sensations. This piece really, really encapsulates the dynamic in my relationship with my partner of 5 years. Someone who is a true leader, a true visionary in the world, in his life, in my life, in our relationship. And it's what I've longed for most as a very independent, self-sufficient, self-reliant woman. Truth be told, I've always wanted a man to come in and put me in my place. What place that is, I don't know. That's for me to determine. But I've always wanted to feel a man's leadership, a man's power. And as I say that, when I say my place, it's not beneath him. It's not below him. It's not less than him. It's not one down. It's right next to him. And sometimes he puts me in my place in a throne that is far above anything I could have ever imagined for myself. He exalts me and lifts me up. He lifts me higher. And especially when I am struggling with self-worth or self-image, my place is so far above where I had placed myself that it lifts me higher. And here's the thing about a dynamic like this. Like I said in the beginning, I fought my partner tooth and nail at first. I had this hyper independent, bad bitch, armor on from living many, many years in New York City and from being in a modern world where hyper independence is raised in men and women, and where we've experienced this modern wave of feminism that is different than what the original feminist movements were intended to be. And it's this sort of, I don't need a man, I can do it on my own, Rosie the Riveter type vibe. And that may serve some people, but I really doubt that it does. Because what that has led me to feel, and what I know it has led so many other women to feel, is fucking exhausted, burnt out, frustrated, completely dried up, like turned off, inspired, and tired. Not in our radiant magnetic essence as women, which is inherent to who we are. And I noticed that for so long, I just felt like I was burning fumes. Like I was just on my last leg, like always running around, getting stuff done, rushing, checking text while I'm brushing my teeth, checking emails while I'm on the toilet, like thinking and ruminating about things while I'm in the shower, being on my phone while I'm in bed. Like that's what this modern society has been. And that is not what serves us as women in relationship to ourselves and in relationship to our partners, in romantic relationship. And I feel tired just saying that. And here's the thing that I've defined in my relationship with my partner is that we can't both be in charge all the time. It doesn't work. Now, listen, I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of leadership. I have a lot of opinions. And in this dynamic, I still get to have all of that. They are not mutually exclusive. But if I am trying to tell him what to do while he's trying to lead us based on a vision that he has for our relationship into the long term, for our health and well-being as individuals, as a couple, then I am going to constantly be undermining and undercutting him. And that's what I did for the first few years of our relationship. I undermined his authority. And again, this wasn't authority over me. It was the authority to make decisions on our behalves for our highest good. And I didn't know how to trust that. I did trust that because I grew up in a household where I saw my mom undercut and undermine my father, and I saw him acquiesce to that. I saw a lot of emasculation. I saw a lot of dominance and domineering in a way that wasn't consensual or conscious. And I grew up I grew up around a lot of really strong female characters in my life where this kind of was the dynamic between them and their male partners. And it just doesn't work. And so we can't both lead all the time at the same time. And what I realized about that is that I was trying to be in charge while he was trying to lead. And it just slowed us down. It exhausted me. It exhausted him. And I had to learn a new way if I wanted this relationship to be functional because he wasn't going to change. He was not going to be any less masculine or any less of a leader than who he naturally is in life. And I realized that if I expected him to do that, and as I kept undercutting him, I lost respect for him. I stopped respecting him and I stopped respecting myself. And this is what happens in so many dynamics. I see this so often between men and women. And I'm sure this plays out in same gender dynamics as well, but I'm just speaking to heterosexual, heteronormative dynamics for a moment, is that we can't both be in the leadership role, not at the same time and not in the same way. And I'll share more what I mean by that. The way I lead as a woman in her feminine energy now that I've learned how to embody it is far different than how he leads as a man. His leadership as a masculine essenced person is directive, it's precise, it's concise, it's penetrating, it's A to B, most efficient, most effective route possible. Let's cut out all the baggage, all the things that drag us back. That's his form of leadership. It's so clear. It's so focused. And this is what we think of when we think of masculine energy often. My way of leading is through emotional leadership. It's through opening my heart. It's through softening and surrendering. It's through really revealing what's happening inside of me. Because when I soften, it strengthens him, it lifts him up, it replenishes him. It is a fuel source. Our softening and revealing and being in our emotions as women, when we are containing them and taking responsibility for them, not projecting them out and spilling them all over people. But when I say things like, hey, I feel really sad about that. I feel really hurt. Here's what I need. Here's what's coming up inside of me. This is the wound that your statement just pierced inside of me. It softens his heart and opens him up. And this is the fuel source that he needs as a masculine man to come and serve me, to ask what I need, to attune to me. Just like in the piece that I just read, he was in deep attunement to me. He wasn't just hitting me with the flogger because he wanted to. He was precisely tracking my nervous system and seeing what I needed. And so unless I can attune to myself as a woman, my partner is going to have a hard time attuning to me because I'm going to be guarded. I'm going to be walled off. And we do that as women because we don't feel safe. And for a lot of us, it's because we didn't grow up in a very safe environment or a very safe world, and real things did happen to us. And now, as they're not happening to us in this present moment, how do we take radical agency and responsibility over creating safety for ourselves so that we can open our hearts, which is exactly what we want to do? That's exactly what we want. We want to let love in. We want to feel a man's provision. We want to feel a man love and respect and adore and cherish us. And so as I learned to be in this surrendered role in my relationship, it allowed me to relax and feel safe. It allowed me to let my hair down and take a deep breath and not have to be guarded, armored all the time. It allowed me to be more creative, carefree, and intuitive because I wasn't running around burning myself out like a headless chicken. Creativity only flourishes in the space we give it to flourish. Intuition only comes through and gives us a quiet tap on the shoulder and whispers in our ear when we have space and when we listen. If we are running around all the time, making sure we wash the dishes and check the emails and do this and do that, and then you feel unappreciated for all the things we're doing, but we're doing it with resentment in our energy, creativity, intuition, sensuality, sexuality, eroticism, replenishment is going to escape us. It is going to be forever this thing we're chasing, but that we feel like we can't have because there's not enough time for it, in air quotes. And so the choice is ours as women. The choice is ours. What do we want to choose? Do we want to surrender? And again, it takes two to tango. So of course the man that we're with does need to be some level of safe and some level of willing to play in this dynamic with us in a conscious way. But we go first. One of my teachers, Jillian Pothier, says, the masculine leads, but the feminine frequency goes first. And this means that my emotions lead the dynamic, even though my partner makes a lot of decisions for both of us, for our well-being, because he has proven to be trustworthy and integrous in leading. He has proven over and over again he's trustworthy, that he makes sound decisions. And that's why I surrender. I'm not just willy-nilly surrendering because it's what the feminine or what women are supposed to do. No, ma'am. It is because he has proven time and time again he is worth trusting and worth surrendering to. And I do the work inside of me to make it safe to say, all right, baby girl, he's showing you he's trustworthy. So what are we going to do? Take a deep breath, breathe in. What do you need? Make a request or meet your own needs, whatever it is. And this is possible for us as women, either with men that we're going to attract, with men that we're currently with, if they're willing to step into this dynamic with us, And so the questions that I want to leave you with today is, how do we need to show up as women to feel safe within ourselves and to inspire men to show up in our lives in this way? Inspire, not force, not direct, not command, inspire. Feminine leadership is through inspiration. Here's a good example. When someone is having such a good time on the dance floor, they are just fucking leaving it all on the dance floor, dancing like no one's watching, and they are just having a blast. This is leading through inspiration. They're not telling you, you have to come dance like me. You have to come let all your moves out. They're just inspiring you because they're having such a good time. They are living their best life in those moments. And you're like, oh my gosh, I want to dance now. Or you're like, hey, I want to be like them. I envy them, right? They're inspiring you because they are so embodied in their body, not in their heads, in their heart, in their body, in the present moment, that they lead through inspiration. So other people then come and join them on the dance floor. And that is feminine leadership. We inspire, we be in our bodies, we make it safe to be here. We make it safe to connect to our emotions, to be in the present moment, to be intuitive and creative. And then our man is like, wow, that's inspiring. I want more of that from her. I want more of that for myself. Amazing. And that's how we lead. So the questions I have and the pointers I have are, one, we've got to create internal safety inside of us. We have to make it safe for us to be in our bodies and in connected to our emotions, which means we cannot push our emotions away. We cannot avoid them, distract them, make them bad or wrong, even if we're feeling anxious, scared, angry, rageful. How do we make it safe inside of ourselves to feel those emotions without turning the knife on ourselves and judging ourselves, or turning the knife on someone else and criticizing and blaming someone or something outside of us? How do we just create a space to feel what's happening without making it mean anything? That's the only way we can create safety. And how do we create internal boundaries? Boundaries so that other people's stuff doesn't come in when it doesn't truly resonate for us, and we don't take on someone else's ideas about who we are, and boundaries so that our stuff doesn't spill out onto other people. We've got to have boundaries on incoming things and outgoing things. And then how do we be connected to our experience? And so, like I said earlier, being in a submissive role in my relationship does not mean I don't have opinions. It doesn't mean I don't lead. It doesn't mean I don't share my beliefs. And it doesn't mean that I don't sometimes challenge my partner in a conscientious way. I do. But there's a way to do that. And the way that I do that is speaking from my own experience. So instead of questioning him and saying, like, why would you do that? I can't believe you would do that, or that's not right. Don't do that. Do this instead. Right? Which is a lot of what I saw growing up, a lot of what I was trained to do as a woman, a lot of what I did in the beginning of my relationship, and it does not work. It is very emasculating. Yet I still have opinions. So what I do instead is say, I notice that when you make a choice like that, I feel really worried inside. I feel scared. And the experience I'm having is one of mistrust. Can we have a conversation about this? Or, here's what I'm going to do to take care of my own needs inside. Or can I make a request of you? Or, hey, here's what I'm experiencing. Does that resonate for you? And we have a conversation about what's happening inside of me. And that's how I lead, by being connected to my emotions and my experience, and then having a conversation with my partner about that. And then the other thing that we've got to do is take care of ourselves. I mean, self-care sounds like it's such a cliche thing, but if I am constantly running around like a headless chicken all the time, doing all the things, taking care of the house, doing my work, taking care of him, and then feeling resentful about it and being like, hey, where's my appreciation for all the things I do? Which is exactly how I used to operate for years, carrying resentment. Then he's not going to feel inspired to want to be in service and devotion to me and to want to provide. He still does it because he's a great partner, but it it feels sticky and icky for him too. So when I take care of myself and when I say, babe, you know, I'll get to the dishes, but right now I got to take a bath. I'm on my period. I got to take care of myself so that I can be the best partner to myself and to you. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to take responsibility for my needs. He is inspired by that. It helps him take care of his needs better, not because I tell him to, but because I'm doing that and I embody the quality and I take the lead in that way. And then he's inspired to take care of himself and then to further pour into me from the energy well that he has just restored inside of himself. So when we take care of ourselves, we replenish ourselves, our erotic, sensual life force energy, and that replenishment pours into the relationship and nourishes our man. Our man wants us to feel rested and relaxed more than anything. They care about that more than us doing the dishes and cleaning the house and whatever. Yes, those things need to get done, but more than anything, a good quality man wants us to feel relaxed and at ease because that's what inspires him. And so those are the three things that you can start on today: creating internal safety for yourself and creating an internal boundary system from incoming stuff and outgoing stuff. Being connected to your experience and speaking from that place instead of giving orders and commands to your man, and replenishing and taking time for yourself so that you have to give first to yourself and then into the relationship and into your man. And this is what it means to be in surrender, in deep devotion to ourselves, to our partners, and to the relationship. And from that place, I feel so liberated as a woman. I feel more independent and free and expressed and juicy and erotic and sensual than I ever did being some hyper independent, can do it on my own, boss babe, don't need a man. Truly, we don't need men. We can literally have babies on our own these days. Most of us want partners. We want partnership. We want companionship and union. And so here's one way you can operate in a way that will probably feel really good for you and really good in your relationship and will be generative instead of draining. So try this out. Let me know how it goes. Please comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, DM me on Instagram and let me know what resonated. I'm at @linoto_. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel and drop me some comments about what else you'd like to see. All right, until next time, sending you so much love and good vibes.